Our Across the Aisle segment tonight. Last week, it was revealed that anti-Trump text messages were sent between top FBI officials. Yet still, no elected Democrats have called for an investigation. Peter Strzok, a top investigator at the FBI involved in the Mueller investigation, sent a text message to his mistress that read, and I quote here, "I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way Trump gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk." My question is, where are the Democrats calling for an investigation into these text messages to make sure the probe into Russian collusion in President Trump's campaign is not clouded with bias? With me now, professor and author of Obama's America, Ian Reifowitz. Ian, good to see you.
Good to see you again, Liz.
All right, Ian, let me ask you, is there really not one liberal who is willing to look at these text messages and say that's really sketchy? It looks to be more than just an opinion. It is someone putting their political opinion, clouding their investigation with their political opinion, and we should investigate to make sure that this investigation is above board. And where are the Democrats on this?
Well, yeah, the Democrats should be pounding the table, demanding that Robert Mueller remove Peter Strzok from his investigative team and from the investigation of Trump. Oh, wait a minute. Mueller removed Strzok in July, 6 months ago, as soon as it came out that those texts were sent. So what exactly are Democrats supposed to be demanding when Mueller already got rid of the guy who sent the texts? Are you expecting that nobody who ever works for the FBI or is involved in an investigation ever expresses any kind of partisan opinion? Is that the standard that you want to hold us to?
No, of course not. What I would expect the fact that Mueller fired Peter Strzok in July, that Mueller considered what Peter Strzok did to be a serious enough issue, misconduct, bias, that he would actually fire him. I would expect Democrats to say, well, did that behavior influence any of his decisions, any of his interviews, any of the investigation before he was caught? Because he had been behaving like that before he was caught. It wasn't an incident that happened on one day in an isolated manner and then Mueller fired him. Clearly, Mueller thought that it clouded the investigation, so he fired him. Shouldn't we make sure that that behavior didn't cloud the investigation leading up to that point?
And I know that Republicans in Congress are doing that. They're investigating that, I'm sure, right now. Rod Rosenstein, who works for President Trump, he's a deputy attorney general, was interviewed by the Senate last week, and he said that he has every confidence that Mueller is handling it well. The quote, I believe, is, quote, "We recognize we have opinions with political opinions. It's not our responsibility to make sure those opinions, it is our responsibility to make sure those opinions do not influence their actions. I believe Director Mueller understands that and is running his office appropriately."
Right, but
so if there's some evidence that somebody did something wrong, then great.
You're making my point, though. It's only Republicans. It's only Republicans that are calling to ensure this is fair. It's only Republicans who are saying, let's make sure this is fair because we want it to be fair. We want the people to believe whatever the outcome is. And at this point, the credibility is damaged so much because of this ongoing political bias on the part of these people, these top investigators, that the people aren't going to have confidence no matter what the outcome is. And that's damaging to our political system. Don't Democrats care about, I guess, the image, about the propriety? Don't they care if this investigation is fair?
Well, and that's really the point here. Republicans are muddying the waters. Republicans are damaging the credibility of this investigation without any shred or scintilla of evidence that there was any bias. And here's the double standard Republicans hold Mueller to.
Wait a second.
Please, Republicans have two standards here. Let's talk about Peter Strzok being a staffer who was gotten rid of because he expressed some political opinions. The investigation of Ken Starr was led by, not a staffer, led by, the investigation of Bill Clinton was led by Ken Starr, who was a partisan Republican official who ran a Republican congressional campaign for a gentleman named Kyle McSharrow, and Starr considered running for the U.S. Senate as a Republican from Virginia. He wasn't a staffer on Bill Clinton's investigation. He ran Bill Clinton's investigation.
Was Strzok. Not one Republican, was the number 2 investigator at the FBI. Peter Strzok was the man who interviewed Hillary Clinton during the email investigation. He interviewed Huma Abedin. He interviewed Cheryl Mills. He also interviewed General Michael Flynn. This was not some low-level staffer, and I'm so tired of Democrats conflating the idea of someone having a political opinion with inserting bias into an investigation. Listen, I have no problem with people at the FBI having a political opinion. It's going to happen. You work in the Beltway. Any politically active adult, any astute adult is going to have a political opinion. That is 100% fine. It's a policy I've said even about my own staff on this show. I don't care whether you agree with me or not, whether you share my political opinions. You can form your own opinions as long as you can do the work in the way that it needs to be done. That's the same with the FBI. But don't you think there is a difference between someone saying, I don't like Trump and I do like Hillary, that being one thing? Don't you think there's a difference between that and between going into the deputy FBI director's office and talking about a plot to take down Trump?
I think you and the Republicans would have the exact same questions, if you want to call them that, about the credibility of Robert Mueller and his investigation with or without these tweets. People have opinions. You said it. What is the difference between having an opinion and not tweeting it or having an opinion and tweeting it? It's the same thing. Republicans and Fox News and the right-wing media want to muddy the waters about this investigation.
I'm asking you as an individual. This is a very simple question. A very simple question. Asking you as an individual, do you see a difference between a man having an opinion that he dislikes Trump and likes Hillary, a difference between that and between going in to the deputy FBI director's office as the #2 investigator at the FBI and discussing a plot to take down President Trump and talking about an insurance policy if they actually enacted that plot? Do you see a difference between those two things?
I don't even know what you're talking about. I read the tweets. There's no plot. He doesn't like Trump. He didn't want Trump to be elected. Big deal. That's expressing a political opinion. He's talking about it in a way with his, with his mistress, as you said, that we might not talk about it on television. But he's saying, I don't like Trump.
His text message said
Ken Starr didn't like Bill Clinton.
His text message said they discussed a plot in the deputy FBI director's office about how to take Trump down, and they determined that it was too risky. That is not just an opinion. Just an opinion I have no problem with. This is not just an opinion. This is evidence of bias, political bias being inserted into a criminal justice investigation that should be unbiased and fair. And I'm disappointed, frankly, in Democrats that they're not calling this out and saying, let's make sure that none of this seeped into the investigation so that we can all have confidence that the investigation is above board and unbiased and fair. And they're not doing that, Ian. But I do appreciate you coming on the show as usual. Good debate. I'll talk to you next week. Our final tipping point of the night. If Republicans pass tax reform, people will die. That's what Democrats are telling us. But haven't we heard that threat before? And did we die? We'll be right back.